All right. Welcome in. Welcome back to the BFR Podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name is Dave, joined by Ficky. We cover the Bears for SM. And of course, this is a fun one. Bears versus Bengals is still going on. Santos just hit a 51-yarder. And honestly, vibes are good. And I can't say that was always the case to start this game. It wasn't. Ficky, before we get into all this, how you feeling, man, after that up and down first half?
I think Anthony here on Twitter with the comment nails it perfectly. We have a real quarterback. Like at first, some play calls, things weren't looking great. We had, three and outs. That's never great, right? That's never great. I wasn't freaking out, but I'm like, we're not really seeing much because there really weren't even many completions. So, but that last drive, well, first off, shout out to Flus for keeping him in. I know you tweeted about that, but keeping Caleb and Rome and some of the offensive starters in for the full half, and then allowing him to get that final drive, because within that final drive, we got those three magician-like plays. The rollout, that deep ball to Rome, the one where he does that hezzy and throws to Rome, which was out of bounds, and then obviously his little backyard football run for a touchdown. So seeing that drive alone within the, that money drive, last 2 minutes of the half, that was like just pure ecstasy into my veins because we haven't seen really that. And you're also tying that in with what we saw last week. Like just crazy.
Yeah, no, it was unreal. I guess we'll start from the beginning here with Caleb Williams. And I know the Bears, it's still going on, but they're going to win this one, which is awesome. The Bears are going to 3-0 in the preseason. It's really cool to see Caleb Williams develop, see this offense, go through the, the struggles, right? Mm-hmm. Typical struggles that offenses go through. It was brutal. There was false starts. There was a bad sack. Just for them to get that adversity and then to see them come back, end the half strong. Credit to Flus, like I said, and Ryan Poles also said it in the booth that he was happy that his coaching staff kept, those guys out there longer than I guess they initially wanted to. Yeah. But that's adjusting, seeing what your team needs. This offense needs that. You saw it clear as day. Those first 3 drives, 3 and out, brutal.
Crazy. Horrible.
And again, Matt Eberflus, credit to him. He realized that. And I like Caleb Williams as well, as far as we always see it. We talked about it last podcast, Ficky. Seeing him, even in Hard Knocks, at training camp, go through the daily, trials and tribulations of a rookie quarterback, and just the moxie and confidence that it never wavers. And you saw it again today, that Caleb went through the ups and downs. It looked tough. There were no boos, thank God.
I know. I was like, at one point I thought I was like, oh, am I hearing a little bit? I was like, please don't, not a. But I
loved the ability for him to bounce back, and then of course showcase the insane talent, because some of these throws, the creativity, the extending of plays, it looked unreal.
That the one to Rome was remarkable. So why I say that's because we've seen with our previous quarterback, like that dancing hezzy like stuff and getting away. So we've kind of been accustomed to that, which is weird to think about.
I'm glad it's not gone.
I know, right? But we've seen that stuff before. So I'm not saying I'm not impressed, but it's not something out of the ordinary. But being able to do that, and then he's running opposite, he's running to the left, and then to be able to twerk your body and just throw a legit laser 40 yards down the line, in seam, right to Rome Odunze. That's where I was like, chef's kiss, right? That was incredible. And then also on the Rome side, because I tweeted about Rome, and it's not an indictment of Rome or anything like that, but I'm like, 2 targets this whole preseason, 0 catches, 0 yards. Like, are we going to try to feed him in this offense? And I'm saying this like after the third 3 and out, right? Where DJ Moore's still in, Keenan's still in. So I'm like, can we get can Rome get a little bit more snaps? Maybe it's even with the second string, just so we can get some targets. So it's finally good to see, like, he got that end around, and then he got that last drive, he got targeted twice and almost a 40-yard gain or 30-yard gain, and then almost a touchdown. So yeah, it's just like icing on the cake, because I feel like that was the missing piece of, like, we haven't seen our top 10 wide receiver pick do anything out there.
Yeah. With Rome, I almost tweeted that as well, because I was like, wow, I know he got a target, one target last week. And I don't even know if you can,
Yeah, like one and a half. One went out of
Can you
bounds.
categorize that as a target? Because that was kind of like a throwaway as well.
Yeah.
And then you had the penalty, of course. So long story short, I was getting a little frustrated, not even just with Caleb, but the play calling with Shane, I thought was a little suspect. But again, this is preseason, so it's like you take everything kind of with a grain of salt. But nonetheless, I mean, I don't want to see 3-and-outs, especially against backups. And so it was getting frustrating. I think everyone in Chicago was. Twitter was kind of like a
shit show.
A shit show, yeah, I guess. It's, no easy way to put it. But then, of course, we saw what it looked like at the end of the second end of the second quarter. But I think with Rome Odunze, because one of the more frustrating parts with that play that you talked about where he extended, kind of hit him with the hesitation. I mean, first of all, Caleb's improvising skills or improvisation is absurd. It's
wonderful.
I know Justin is great and he can extend plays, but then he looks to run. The thing with Caleb that is so different and so deadly is his eyes, when you watch these scrambles
downfield,
sure, he's juking people out, but he has an uncanny way, ability to keep his eyes just down the field, and it's unreal. Unreal. I'm gonna keep saying it because it felt otherworldly. And then of course he's going to the sideline and he just throws a laser to Rome. Perfect ball. Perfect. I have two things here. Rome's got to keep his feet in, and then we also have to fire the ground crew. Why is there two lines?
First, it's because the concert last night, and it's a reason why they have to resod the field. Move to Arlington. Own your own stadium. You will never have this issue ever again. You can control who goes in, who goes out. No, but you know why? It's because they just had a concert there.
I know, but I'm fine with the concert. The field pissed me off too, because that was odd. But get that line out of there. You just cost your team, the Bears, 6 points. Now, of course, they scored.
That won't happen though regular season at all.
No, it'll be gone. But this is a preseason. We treat you treat it like a real game. Get that second fucking line out of there, because that would have been a highlight reel type play. Sure. I love that Caleb ran it in and he again extended the play, improvised, and I thought he was going to throw another laser. But at first I was pissed at Rome, and then I was like, okay, I'm actually more pissed at the grounds crew and whoever allowed and approved. Like, okay, yeah, we're going to play a NFL preseason game
with two lines.
It looked like, like when you play soccer, or you see it at soccer on like on a football field, and there's a bunch of lines. You got the soccer,
too many.
Just too many lines, because you're like, where the fuck is that out of bounds? That's how it felt watching live. And I can only say Rome looked confused because he literally had his feet down perfectly. He was like, it almost looked like he
knew he was in.
That's what I'm saying. So he was he was confused.
Get Tyler Stadium.
Tyler Scott, real quick. Tyler Scott's reaction. Did you see him?
I didn't,
because he went like this. And then he saw his feet. He like looks down, and Rome's like looks down as well. And then Tyler goes, just like in disbelief, couldn't believe it. That cracked me up.
No, I feel
anyways,
that shouldn't happen. But the little things like this have happened at Soldier Field. This isn't the first time things like this have happened, especially with the grass, bro. Because they have a concert, and obviously there's people destroying the field. I'm not blaming people, but you have a concert and then a game, like you're obviously there's going to be holes and things like that. You have thousands of people. So if they own their own stadium, I know we don't have to put too much rain on this, but like if they own their own stadium, little things like that wouldn't happen, because at the end of the day, it's theirs and they make decisions about scheduling, about their own grounds crew, because the grounds crew is not theirs. It's the Chicago Park District. So fun, right?
Yeah, no, fun. It is fun. So I want to go ahead and go through some of these stats here with Caleb Williams, because it honestly, numbers wise, it's not great, but that's the thing. If you're looking at the box score, you're like, oh, not the best day. And you're right. Caleb and the offense struggled. Simple as that. However, better to get it out now. Go through these wrinkles, get it out now, because week 1 is a couple weeks away. And it was really cool to see them progress, fight through, battle, kind of get battle tested a little bit. There was the first drive with Keenan Allen and Caleb. Looked like he was trying to force feed him a little bit. And there was 2 plays, obviously the 2 plays on that drive where they looked off. And then there was intentional grounding. I was like, okay, this drive did not happen. Then we move forward to, the second drive. And maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. I think it was just a couple it was like a run, pass,
Yes.
something like that. Anyways, it wasn't
not
great.
many gains. It was 3rd and long again, and then we couldn't convert it.
The play calling again looked very vanilla. Shane was a little concerning. And then, of course, the third drive that went 3 and out, one of the more controversial because I think he tried to hit DJ on a slant, and it was really good defense by that corner.
Yeah, great defense.
And then you have the QB school, which I like him. I like JT. Of course, he's trolling a little bit, and he expects wide receiver ones to get open on that slant. And I agree. And that's why when it comes to even last week, watching all 22 with Keenan and some of these vets, and not that DJ is kind of considered a veteran, even though you saw him, try to take 3 people on and stiff arm last week. But it does look like sometimes they are going through the motions because DJ is typically locked in. But on that route, it did not look like he was going full speed. And he still almost beat him, but it was a great play by the DB. And I just think like I said, for that, I'm just going to write it off to it's just preseason. I don't think we're going to see always 100%, even though we would like to. Sometimes these players are going to, maybe jog a little bit. So I'm curious to see the all 22 on that one, but really great defense by Cincy, and their backup defense
did pretty well.
I don't know
Stop
if
the run.
First team defense was like, hey, make up for what the fuck they did to us a couple days ago. Like,
I guess
play your ass off, make it hard on these guys, and they truly did in those first 3 drives.
I mean, you make a good point though, right? Because like it is the preseason. Your expectation is everyone's giving 100%, and you really hope so, right? But at the end of the day, it is preseason. You know who is giving 100%? Because their jobs are on the line, the 2nd string and 3rd string. So the talent may not be there, but I promise you the effort is higher than some of these 1st string. Not everyone, that's a grand statement, but if you're going to see a lot of the efforts, the guys who are fighting to get roster spots on this team. So shout out to Bengals 2nd string defense because they held their own for the whole first and like midway 2nd quarter. So pretty good. Up mute.
What were your thoughts on? Okay, yeah, give me your overall thoughts going into that final drive. In the second half, you didn't see a lot that you liked. What were your thoughts going into it? Were you like, hey, I need something here, or say they go 3 and out again, or something along those lines? How are you reacting right now?
So my thought process was through that part after the 3 and outs. I was like, okay, not great. Things are not looking, well, but it is preseason. As a fan, I would like to see him get something going. It doesn't even have to be a touchdown, but like just get a first down because you haven't gotten a first down yet. And so seeing him come out with Rome, I thought that was great. I didn't necessarily need DJ or Keenan. It was more about like Caleb himself, right? So that he doesn't walk away from this game and have nothing to look at from a positive standpoint. So he can walk away from this game now with that final drive and have something good to look at while also having the whole first and middle of the second to also look to see what they can improve on. So I'm actually happy that it ended in the way it did. Obviously, you would have liked it if it was like he came out there and just threw like 4 touchdowns. Doesn't happen in preseason, but like if he would have came out there and just balled out from the jump and maybe he gets pulled the first quarter, I'd have been fine with that too. But I'm just happy that not only for his growth, but also from a selfish fan perspective, we got to see some exciting plays because what we noticed with the Caleb effect right now, he's a superstar. Every play he makes, national coverage. 3 of those plays on that one drive, literally everyone who covers football nationally had something to say about it and is retweeting it. Like Bears fans, national media, people that may not even be Bears fans, enthusiasts, Packers fans, like everybody has their eye on Caleb. And it's finally nice to have people have eyes on a QB in Chicago wearing the navy and orange for a good reason. Because typically we're the laughing stock. Here's a blooper reel, that type of stuff. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I agree. I actually tweeted something similar. It was weird to see the national attention from just everyone, from different fan bases, like you said, Ficky, to the, most, notorious NFL analyst. You got players like Tyreek Hill saying, hey, Caleb Williams kind of reminds me of someone, kind of hinting towards, that guy in Kansas City. It was really cool. And I didn't even know how to act at first because I was like, typically when you see the national media and everyone talking about a Bears quarterback, it's typically in a very bad light. In this case, you saw a quarterback just kind of go into like a superstar mode, right? You saw him just make things happen, even though it was a terrible. How many times have we seen it when it comes to like Patrick Mahomes, even like, or, quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks just kind of get bottled up for a quarter or two, right? Or almost most of the half. And then they go down there like kind of Aaron Rodgers-esque where they break your back, right? And all of a sudden, instead of being, you're down 3, the Bengals defense, say this is a real game, to be down 10-0 or 10-3, and you played a pretty good first half.
Yeah.
That's got to be demoralizing. And I know this is a preseason game, so it doesn't really, that doesn't hold any weight. But if this were a regular season game, and to see Caleb and these guys kind of stick together, keep the game close, and then you have Torrey Taylor, who is just flipping field position, and you saw him as a weapon today. You saw first, just clear as day, how great of a weapon he's going to be for this team and for this defense, because the defense was just lights out. Unbelievable.
Defense, we've had no questions or no concerns about this defense from the beginning of training camp all the way back, not training camp, the beginning of like camp way back in like June, right? So the defense came light out. I mean, you talk about multiple players on the defense, the secondary. First off, Kyler Gordon, MVP of the game, I would say, like from the starter standpoint, right? Of course, has that beautiful hit stick, but he's all in the backfield, causing disruption to the quarterback, almost batted a ball down. Open field tackles he's making. And that's for the whole secondary too, because not only was it Kyler Gordon, Jonathan Owens, his first impressive one was on that third down, one-on-one tackle on that. I think it was a tight end, stopped it, fourth down. Then he had a couple more where he made some one-on-one tackles, just kind of all over the place. TJ Edwards as well. First 3 plays, I'm pretty sure he's making tackles. Mid-season form for TJ Edwards. That's what we saw all last year. And then, I mean, just plays all around. You had Terrell Smith with the INT in the secondary with the second group. He had a great rookie year last year. You have, who's the safety? Well, I can't think of his name. Oh, Blackwell. Blackwell caused that interception, right? And then he also, did he get one as well? He got a couple tackle for losses. So just seeing the defense kind of all over the place. And then also you saw some pressure from Montez Sweat. Like that first third down, he pushed that offensive tackle like all the way back to the quarterback. So at defense as a whole, I don't think we really have questions, but they just look good. And that's what we're happy for, right? It's the offense that really are question marks we're at. And there were some question marks on the offense. And if you want to talk about some of people that are some of the things you're still concerned with the offense, that'd be nice.
I'm not concerned. I really don't have any concerns. Even going into this half, if they wouldn't have scored, it would have been like disappointing not to see, all the hard work they're putting into camp, because there has been moments you saw, against the Bengals joint practice, and I would have just tossed it up to a bad day, right? You don't want to have those during the season, so get them out now. But I'm not really concerned. I think, like I talked about last episode, there's always going to be plays during a game that a player, even if they're all pro, are going to look tough,
of course,
bad,
it happens.
Right?
It happens.
So like Khalil early in this game, rough. His vision. There were a couple missed blocks too with Nate Davis. He got he looked silly on a play. Tevin Jenkins. So at the end of the day, you can always find, if you look hard enough, you're going to find, a play or two where, any type of caliber player is going to perhaps have a bad rep. So I think the Bears, I was actually encouraged to see them struggle, to see them battle a little bit and have that response. And even with the coaching staff, I think that's one of my biggest takeaways from this game was Shane Waldron adjusting to an extent. And then Matt Eberflus, actually the whole coaching staff, because their plan was not to play them the entire half. From what I was told, it was going to be about a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half, but to adjust on the fly and realize, hey, these guys, they need some reps here. It's been a struggle. Let's get them out now. It's not raining. It was pouring here about 10 minutes ago. However, I just liked everything I saw today, because even though there were struggles and moments where it was a little iffy, the response, everything, all of it together it was a good combination because we got to see a lot of great things from this team. And then, of course, we haven't even talked about special teams. Velus Jones Jr., who just made a play to basically get the ball at the one, right, on a punt. Yeah, he was the gunner, and it was just there's a lot. This roster in 3 years, Ryan Poles has done such a good job, and Ian Cunningham. It is just so deep from top to bottom. I truly, truly believe that. And I know there's concerns at some position groups.
Of course.
But the more I look at it and the way we're seeing these guys dominate in the preseason, again, it is preseason, but these rosters just look night and day. The Bills, contenders, the Bengals, you could say they are at least they could make some noise in the AFC. And Joe Burrow, I know he didn't play today, but they're just the rosters are just not as deep as Chicago, in my opinion. And that's due to these draft classes over the last 3 years and the influx in talent and the youthfulness. Kyler Gordon, like you talked about, I cannot wait to go watch the all 22 on him and just throw about 3 or 4 plays together because he was stopping, the running back in the A gap. He had a huge hit on the quarterback, that sack. It reminded me of Justin Fields taking that one against Buffalo. And I know I tweeted that and some people didn't like it, but that's what I reminded me of. I was like, that's not good.
Blind side just
didn't even
cracked. Nope.
I was like, I almost yelled at my screen. I was like, please look a little bit, embrace, because I was like, you can get hurt there. And I would love to see Kyler, strip the ball. It looked like he did at the very end. And then, of course, you have the Montez Sweat pressure on the first drive defensively. And then you have Kyler Gordon on the back, left side, able to make that open field tackle. And that's another thing I want to talk about, Ficky. I know we're kind of going everywhere, but the open field tackles.
Oh, they did not miss tackles.
All levels.
They did not.
And
that was something
whether
I
it was the first string, second string, third string, these
agree.
guys are coached up, man.
I agree. That's something I noticed where it's like there were not many misses, like at all. And I'm talking one-on-one tackles where they were just boom right there, securing it up. And then a lot of hats around the ball. I know that's been like a big principle with the hits and whatnot is like all 11 guys on the ball. But like you really saw that today, and that's exciting. And hey, look, they got some turnovers again today too. So this is just the stuff like I know we used to joke, especially when Flus first got here, because the defense wasn't that great. And it's like this guy's coming in with this acronyms and this very coachy speak, right? But we've seen the back half of last year to this year, right? That those principles are helping this defense be much better. They are very, I'd say, tacticians back there with knowing what they're doing. They cause a bunch of turnovers. They led the league last year in interceptions. We saw that. So we literally have statistical proof for that. And you see them flying all around. And it's just something great to see. I can't wait till week 1 for the defense because like this week, we also were having some people that were out. You did not have, I think Kyler was back, but Brisker was not. That's why Owen started back there. Did Bayard start? I'm not even sure if I do not remember. Okay, yeah. So both of your starting, because it was Hicks. Yeah, it was Hicks and and Hicks made some plays too, but it was Hicks and Owens. So basically, I'm just really excited to see what this full-fledged unit looks like week 1 because they've already had a year together, so there's less holes and kinks to work through. The offense is a different story because there's a lot of new pieces. So that one's going to be more up in the air. But I'm still, I walk away from this game confident about this team. Again, preseason, so I'm not saying Super Bowl bound or playoff bound, but I am impressed with what these players did individually. And there was I wrote down a lot of names of people where their stock went up, and that's great, right? And I didn't have any player particularly where their stock went down. Because for stock up, I had Kyler, which you talked about, Owens, Agbon Bamiga, who got the interception, also made a bunch of tackles the second year from can't remember where he's from, but number 45, he was making some plays. Blackwell, which I talked about. And then I know you talked about Terrell Smith, of course. Who had a pick. He should have probably housed that one. He should have. Here's to look at the all-22 on that one to see. But from my vantage point, it looked like it. Mm-hmm. And then, people that aren't starting but looked really good today was Bajan and Pettis, man. Like Pettis had some crazy catches, like where he one across the middle where he almost got his head taken off. He secured that. I think that was on a 3rd down. And then obviously the one in the end zone was more of a Bajan play. Like he threw it right to where Pettis could get to. But also that other touchdown, Bajan threw it right in the basket and Pettis caught it and took it in. So again, we know Pettis has been on the team before. He's actually made some big plays, just not a bunch of them for the Bears back with Fields. But, maybe he secures his spot. I didn't see anything from Colin Johnson. I don't even know if he played, but so, we keep going back to the position battles, like who's making this final 53. I think that wide receiver room is the one that's most up in the air. Like the back half, obviously, we know your first three are locked in, but your first three, probably Tyler Scott. I think that's 4. Then you have 5, 6, maybe 7. Bayless making it more as a gadget. Who's getting 6 and 7? If there's 6, is it Colin Johnson? Is it Pettis?
It's up for grabs, I'll tell you that much. I'm very curious to see the Hard Knocks this week, hopefully on time, just because I want to see some of these battles that should be heating up, right? And maybe we'll get that, maybe a week after, just because this is after this game. But I'm like I said, I'm just genuinely impressed with this entire roster for the most part. I think one of my favorite moments was that Terrell Smith interception, because people kind of forget about him, because he was going rep for rep last year as a rookie with fellow rookie Tyreek Stevenson. And there was moments where you looked at Stevenson and you're like, Smith is kind of making a case for himself, And of course, Stevenson went on to have an insane, a very good rookie season. Obviously ups and downs, but Terrell Smith, like I said, don't forget about him. That was a great break on the ball. I loved, the ball hawking ability, and I think Matt Eberflus and that defense, they're just going to be excited, because when they preach takeaways, that's what this defense needs. You want to see that. Last year they really ramped it up in those final 8 games. Jalen Johnson as well. I want to continue to see that this year. But Terrell Smith, I'm very, like I said, the depth on this secondary is probably one of the. It's going to be something that I think is going to be continuously talked about throughout the next, 3-4 months. I think that's where they can really make some noise and change games, because of how physical they are. Look like really, really superb tacklers, like in the open field. And again, we have to see it in the regular season. We didn't even talk about Austin Booker today, who I thought had a pretty good game as well. So all in all,
and Hardy too. Hardy had 2 sacks last week, and he had.
Is it Nate Hardy?
Week. No, Daniel.
I think it's Daniel Hardy.
Yeah,
Nate Hardy. I'm thinking something else.
But yeah, I mean, again, the defense just looks well, and I think that you got to give credit to 2 people. Well, you can give credit to a lot of people, but starting with Flus, and then also Poles and just his drafting, right? One of the best things that Poles said in his interview with Adam Amin is that we're going to build through the draft. Now, I know that's what a lot of GMs say, but the issue is a lot of GMs have said it for the Bears, and we haven't seen the results. For example, if you look at the Pace era, which isn't that long ago, 4 years ago, right? We only have 2 players left on this team from that regime, and that is Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson, right? That's never a good thing that 4 years down the line, you have none of your draft picks. I don't care how good or how bad of a team you are. You should have more than 2. That you went through 4 drafts. That's in essence, if you drafted every round, 28 players, and only 2 of them are on your team. That's never a good sign. But if you look at the past 3 years with Ryan Poles, a lot of finds. You're getting at least 2 from each draft. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Darnell Wright, Braxton Jones, Jervon Dexter, right? That's just, I didn't even go through all of them. Khalil Herbert, right? That's 6 players right there. Some of them from the same draft. And then this year too, Caleb, hopefully Rome. So I like that, because Poles is actually shown that he drafts pretty well. He drafts above average. He doesn't hit on everything, but he drafts pretty well. And this year's draft, surprisingly not, I know it's really early to tell, might be his best draft. Caleb Williams, you could stop there and probably be okay. Rome Odunze, that's a pretty good start. Your 3rd pick, Torrey Taylor, who already looks good, looks great. And then Austin Booker, who's, I think for a 5th rounder, is overseeding expectations, right? Still TBD on some of these players, but overall, it's just like we have not had a GM that consistently walks away from the draft and you go, you know what? I think we did a good job there, because that's how you build a team. That's how you keep the cap low, because you don't have to overspend in free agency. Instead of free agency, you just get a little this, little that, right? To some areas where you still have weaknesses, and then you really bolster your team. So And he's also nailed it in free agency. TJ Edwards, steal. Edmonds, also, I mean, like we paid a lot for Edmonds, but like a good player. Kevin Byard, I think, is going to be the sneaky one from this draft. And then, we'll see how like some of the other ones play out, like Coleman Shelton and some things like that. And he's had some misses too. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying overall, I don't know if I've had this much confidence in the GM, even when the team sucked year one. Every year, this team has gotten better and better. And because of that, because he's hitting in the draft, the team is getting deeper and deeper, like you said. And I love that because that is how you contend for multiple years. I don't want a 2018 1 year. Oh, we did great. Let's see if we can do it again next year. No, I want us to be able to go into every season like our rivals Packers do and go, you know what? Our expectation is at least playoffs and we should be going to the Super Bowl. We have never had that feeling except maybe the 2006 to 2010 run with Lovie Smith.
You said it perfectly. I hope, Ficky, that this is the start. And I feel it. I do feel confident. And even in this game where it was typically when a Bears offense goes 3 and out like that, let alone 3 times in a row, you start to really worry. PTSD. I wasn't quite there yet. I really wasn't. I was like, oh, this sucks. You don't want to see it. But I was like, I have a confidence in this team, in the coaching staff, even the players, the personnel, that they're going to figure it out. And great offenses, they go through spurts. They go through a quarter where it's, what the fuck was that? They throw that out the window, they get back to work. You adjust. And we saw that. How many times last year did we see where, not even last year, probably the last 2 years with Fields and company and even Matt Eberflus, who has grown, where they just don't adjust. Luke Getsy, there's a reason he's gone. Wish him the best. And wow, fuck that. Anyways, all I'm saying is I felt I had a confidence going into this game, and even those 3 and outs, where I was like, it's okay. Even if they didn't come back out, because I was actually a little surprised they kept bringing them out.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, hell yeah, though. Like it got me fired up. And of course, good things happened. They got that confidence. I think the experience, they needed that type of experience before the regular season because it can't all 100%. Be sunshine and rainbows. It can't be. Look at last year where the Bears barely played in the preseason. Am I correct? Am I right?
Yep.
Where they had that play to DJ Moore, and it was like everyone felt like, oh, this is how the regular season is going to go. Fast forward, you're 0-4.
It did not
start the year, and so, anyways, I thought this was a great experience for this group, and I think they're going to be able to use this, kind of take from it, and remember it going in that hey, games are going to start slow, and they were favored. I mean, everyone thought going in this one that hey, Caleb, they're going to dice up this backup Bengals defense. This is the NFL. And I know it's the preseason, but these guys are playing for a lot more than just, in between those lines. They're playing for some are playing the last time.
For their career,
right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to make a roster. So these guys are giving their all 100%. And these guys responded. I'm just happy. I'm happy we got to see these moments. Bro, I'm happy we get to see these insane plays again.
Yes.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yes, I'm the biggest thing, and this was the same thing with last year, right? Where I wanted to go into the season and walk away because like we weren't Super Bowl bound last year. We're probably not Super Bowl bound this year. So the biggest thing for me was walking away from the season and knowing the guy who takes the ball from center is our guy. That's all I care about. At the end of the season, I mean, I want us to win. Don't get me wrong. But if that is answered this season, that helps answer a lot of questions that is down the road. Because if that is the case, right? He doesn't have to be Mahomes. But if Caleb Williams is that franchise guy where you're just like top 10 every year, you are now in contention every single year. Maybe not the top of contention, but you are giving yourself a chance to hold the Lombardi at the end of the season. And the Bears have never done it. So seeing even in short stints, right? We kind of have 2 halves of Caleb in the past 2 weeks, right? It's a full game. I'd walk away from that one full game, still a small sample size, and be like, I think we're good. Like for a rookie quarterback, I think we're in a good spot.
I think we are too. Ficky, I want to ask you this real quick. Last week we saw the Komet throw, or the throw to Komet.
Mm-hmm.
So the Caleb to a very, very good throw. It went viral as well. And then you have this one to Rome Odunze against the Bengals. I think I know the answer. Which throw did you like more? Or was this throw even your favorite?
That's kind of crazy. Difficulty of throw.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cole Kmet one is a more difficult throw.
You think so?
I think, but my favorite is to Rome. How am I not gonna? He threw. I mean, why I say this because when Caleb did the rollout, he jumped off like his right foot and then threw it like a cross body. Now this one, he immediately turns and flips it. They're both impressive. Yeah. Like if you picked either one, I'd be good. But seeing Caleb do an amazing play and then also it's finished off by Rome Odunze, like that's the future of this franchise. And I think you tweeted it, right? The future. It's Rome and Caleb.
It's the future.
So, I mean, there's other players as well. Don't get me wrong. But those are the two premier rookies. And so seeing them ball out on a play like that just gets you as excited as hell.
Dude, I know I'm going to stay on topic here because you got me excited about that future tweet that I had because there's a lot more than those two, but those two they're going to be the engine, for the most part. The quarterback always is. And you have Rome, who's probably going to be here hopefully for another 10, 15 years. However, the throw for me to Rome was, I think it's insane. I think it's way more difficult. And I don't know, that Kmet one was crazy because they're both off balance. I just think the degree, the way he dropped that into the bucket,
that's more impressive.
That's why I'm like, wow, the touch and it is bizarre. And even the play before that, I think it was he missed Gerald Everett. He was navigating the pocket, kind of collapsed on him. He made a guy miss, and he stepped up and he kind of tripped over it. Yeah, he slipped a little bit, and he couldn't get his base. Even though I think he didn't realize how much time he had because he could have totally stopped.
Oh yeah,
set his, got his footwork, set his feet, and then delivered a bullet to Gerald Everett and would have been first down. But of course, obviously the drive still continued, and there was still some spectacular plays. But I think just the degree of difficulty is, I don't think a lot of people are probably going to even notice how hard that is because he made it look so easy. It just should not be. It was like on a string. The ball was just, it was a
literally
very
straight line right into the bucket, only
and
where Rome can get it.
My initial tweet was, holy shit, like Rome, like that was a good catch too. Because like that's over the shoulder, right? The defender's pretty close in coverage. And we saw it later on in that where he couldn't keep his feet in bounds. But again, I think there's more to it than just, I think Rome, and we talked about the sideline gate or whatever you want to call it. However, all I'm saying is this guy makes it look way too easy. Then I think, it's pretty sick how easy he makes things look when it comes to the playmaking ability and then the arm, of course.
And why I agree with you, why that is my favorite is because that play showcased the two things that make both of those rookies special. Caleb Williams and his arm angles and accuracy. Like he throws the ball from different body positions and the ball is still accurate, right? On the run, whatever it is. And Rome being the number one contested wide receiver last year in NCAA, right? Obviously, he balled out in other areas as well, but he's known for if the ball is going to him one-on-one, it's most likely going to end up in his hands. And you saw it on that play because first off, he's 6'3", so he's bigger than a lot of these people. But you saw he's right there towering the defender. Defender even tries to get a swipe. He can't because his hands are so high up and just secures the ball, comes down, no drop, no movement of ball. That's exactly why we drafted both of those players, and you got to see it live. We saw, and that's why I was not concerned. But that's why I'm like, I need to see Rome because we know what he's done in practice. That's the stuff we're excited about, but we actually haven't seen his best strength, his skill set on the field. And today, even though it was only one play, that's all I needed. I'm like, okay, yep, that's the guy we were trying to get. Yeah, it makes sense.
I know it was only one play. However, I do think if Soldier Field was just better, kept up better and the lines weren't there, those two lines, in the back of the end zone, I think that would have been a touchdown, nine times out of 10.
For sure.
And so let's just call that a touchdown. Say he catches it. Those two plays were basically back to back. They were maybe one play in between.
Yeah, something like that. It was a run. I think it was a run by Herbert.
Yeah, run by Herbert. Either way, they're very close. It would have been basically that big play to Rome and then the touchdown connection to Rome. And that would have been just, the Caleb and Rome drive, right? To see those two be able to take over like that. And then you still remember you got weapons like DeAndre Swift, who didn't even play today, right? Didn't see too much of Cole Kmet either, in my opinion. And then I would like to see a snap count, actually, now that I think about it. Because did you see Cole? I know he had a catch.
He had one
catch. I just didn't see him out there as much as we typically are.
Well, he definitely didn't. He didn't get targeted for sure because Gerald Everett was the one who was getting a lot of the targets. So
I thought Kmet had maybe one.
No, he had one. He had a catch.
Did have a catch?
Yeah, okay. He had a catch. He had like it was like an 6-7 yard dig on first down and made it like second and short. But that was like the only play I saw from Kmet.
Okay.
But Gerald Everett got targeted I think 4 or 5 times. So
yeah.
But again, preseason, so how everyone's not. It's not like the first strings out the whole time. You know how it is. So
yeah. Hey, real quick, if you're joining us now after the game, because the Bears are now 3-0. They are undefeated. They knock off the Cincinnati Bengals. What was the score? It was
27
to 3.
Yeah.
Awesome job by the defense on all phases. Just showed the depth like we talked about early in the show. But 27 to 3, Bears are 3-0. I mean, to be able to continue to win, to continue to have these moments, these electric moments, both on the defense and offense, it's a really, really good time to be a Bears fan. I feel really, really good about that. And I think a lot of people, I know everyone's very typically cautious, and we all probably should still be cautious because there's probably going to be maybe some rookie growing pains with some of these players, but it feels good. But if you're here joining us after the game or for the first time, or if you've been a long time listener, go ahead and hit that like button. Shout out to DJ Moore down here in the corner of the screen. Again, like button if you can. We appreciate it. Helps support the show. And let's get back to it. I have a question for you, Ficky. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So, Keenan Allen. Are you concerned yet? Because the reason I bring it up, we talked about it last 2 episodes. Going over the all 22. There's been people talking about, maybe he looking a little slower. I'm not. I do see a couple tweets here from that first drive. He didn't look as involved. There was some miscommunication. How are you feeling with Keenan?
If this was a second year or third year player, then yes.
Okay, good.
Keenan,
we're on the same page,
bro. It's. Okay. I'm sorry, your resume is too good. And if this is the first year of the drop of Keenan Allen, that's totally fine, right? I'm not like I'd be happy about it, but his drop off. But his drop off isn't. You don't go from 1,200 yards. Well, let me put it this way. There's 2 major context pieces here, right? Contextual pieces here. You don't go from having your career year typically, right, to then being absolute dog shit. You don't see that with players that often. Tie that in with also not only it just being your career year. It wasn't just like an outlier year and then you're bad. You have years of consistency. So you have years of consistency and then you have another peak. So if you drop off, your drop off would probably go down to your consistent level or a little bit below, which is still a wide receiver 1 on most teams or wide receiver 2. So unless the man breaks his legs and can no longer walk again, I don't know how I would not have confidence that Keenan Allen is going to produce on the field. There's no data. There's nothing that shows that is the case. Preseason, okay, maybe he's not giving it. It's also this dude doesn't play preseason. I'm not saying it's right or wrong that we're not seeing him maybe go as hard, and we don't know that, but we're not seeing production. It's also preseason. So I know you feel the same, but I just don't. If something crazy would have to that fall off would be one of the hardest fall offs in NFL history.
It would. I'm not concerned. I like to see everyone's opinion on it because there's just certain players there's certain storylines that just come up out of nowhere, pop up. You got the Nate Davis, which really good to see him out there today starting. I know he had that one bad rep where the Cincy guy kind of put him in the spin cycle.
Yeah.
However, that led to the Caleb Williams sack. But Keenan's going to be fine. I just I like to see. I like because it's like always something. There's always like the sky is falling in some.
Well, it's because the sky
capacity.
typically is falling in
Yeah.
Chicago. Our team normally sucks, so I
Yeah.
get it.
And I'll be honest, I
go
expect regression from Keenan because of not just
he's
him,
not-
being older, but because of this offense as a whole. And I think Caleb's going to spread the ball. I think
you can't feed. Yeah, you can't feed everyone. Like
So-
I think DJ's numbers are going to go down just a tad because last year he had a career year. I think Keenan's going to go down a little bit because of just Rome being there. Rome, Gerald, DeAndre Swift, like it's just going to go down a little bit. Doesn't mean that they're going to have a bad year. It's just everyone can't have career years. That doesn't work that way,
Yeah. Hey, I want to go through this real quick. Kyler Gordon, I know we talked about him shortly, and I'm excited to see his film later on when it comes out, the All-22, because he was everywhere. But he finished with 4 total tackles, all solo, 2 for a tackle for a loss, and of course that one big sack, hit stick. Yeah. Surprised the ball didn't pop out. But I think the thing that surprised me the most about Kyler today was we understand how talented he is, but to come in and do what he did and not be practicing, because he's just ramping back up. I know he was full participant, but man, you almost forget about him sometimes because of how star-studded that group is. When it comes to like the linebackers, you got Montez Sweat, you got perhaps the best corner in the NFL, but then you got Kyler Gordon, who I think could easily be a top 5 nickel. Like he's that talented. It's honestly hard to think about when it comes to this defense, because there's some stars, man. They can have stars across the board in that secondary.
Hats off to Poles drafting again. Again, he took his first pick, I think, or was it Brisker then Gordon?
Brisker,
it was Gordon.
then Gordon.
Oh, Brisker.
Oh, was it Gordon?
I can't remember. Either way, his first draft,
see.
he gets Kyler Gordon, who was a stud start. It wasn't like he was a nickel at Washington. He was a stud outside cornerback. And they looked at his skill set and said, you know what? We think you'd fit better in the nickel because of because first of all, because of the athletic ability. So he blitzes a shit ton. And I love that. So the fact that they were able to look at his skill set. And so I think we can make you into one of the best nickels in the league, which is important because a lot of offensive sets in the NFL nowadays, or at least 4 wide receivers, right? So, or 3. A lot of them are 3. So you got to have someone guarding that third, and then, the nickel and dime sets. So overall, like, I just love that they recognize what his strengths were and put him in a position to succeed. And not saying he wouldn't have succeeded outside, right? But they said, hey, look, we're going to make you dominant, and you're going to be dominant working in the nickel. And he took that on full force. And I just love that for both of them.
Yeah. No, Kyler looks great. I don't think Brisker played, did he?
No.
Yeah, I didn't see much of him.
No, because he was warming up. I think he's been out, not for like a major injury. I think he's warming up.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone's warming up at this point.
Anyways, it went Kyler first, pick 39, and then pick 48 was Brisker in the second round.
Because I remember I thought Kyler dropped because of injury concerns, kind of like how JJ did. So that's what I remember. But yeah, overall though, both those guys, we can draft in the second round. Kyler Gordon, Brisker, Kmet, JJ. And hopefully the first round. It looks like we might be 3 for 3 now with Wright, Caleb, and Rome, which is that's what you're supposed to do, but we have not done that for so long. Like our only good first round pick and didn't even make it to a second contract was Roquan Smith. And the one prior to that, I think, was the Virginia Tech corner. Why can't I think of his name? Him and his brother made it into the NFL, but he had a rough first 3 years, and then on an extension, he balled out like the final 3.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of?
I can't. I'm not sure.
I should know this name. This is definitely on me, but
yeah,
I'll look it up real quick.
He's been very lethal when it comes to some of his picks, especially in the second round, like you said. Not the best when it comes to he's actually 1 for 2, I guess, trading second round picks.
That's true.
So Montez Sweat, who's a dynamic player, and then Chase Claypool was I think he's out of the league right now. He's like IR
I think
something like that.
They I don't know, which is weird. They did they did that, but then they there's like some exemption they can do, which then releases the IR so he can join a new team. Whole thing was confusing.
If he's out for the season, I don't understand that. Why would he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand the. Oh, there it is. Thank you guys. Kyler Fuller, yes, and his brother played too.
Yes.
Duh.
Kyle was great, dude.
Right, but if you remember
that 2018 team,
his first like 3 years, people were like, Kyler Fuller's a bust. Like they kind of viewed him in the same way people view Nathan not Nathan Vasher.
His brother's Kendall.
Yes, Kendall.
On the Chiefs. He was on the Chiefs at one point, I think.
Yeah, I think he was on the Titans too as well. But yeah. that's his brother. But yeah, so anyways, my point was that we have not done well with the first 2 rounds, but it seems like we're actually on a hitting streak now, a hot streak, I should say. And that's good because that's how you win championships, building through the draft, hitting on your high-end picks, and then the back half is kind of a crapshoot. So if you get some pieces here and there, even better. But I'm just very excited about having Poles as the leader of this team. That almost makes me more excited. This might be a hot take. I'm almost more excited that Poles is running the ship than I am of Caleb Williams, even though I'm so excited for Caleb. But it's like we're not even 3 years of data. I just have so much trust in Poles. Anyways, that was my little mini rant on my love for.
It's hard to keep. It's really hard to keep it level-headed when it comes to this team on a lot of different players and obviously the even the GM, like the coaching staff. It's hard to stay level-headed because history tells us, the Bears they don't do it. They don't get it right typically, and God forbid they get it right on many different levels all at once, because we saw when we had an electric offense with Jay Cutler and we just didn't have a defense to back it up, right? And then we've had plenty of GMs in the past that have just been rough. Head coaches that have been awful, brutal. And look at Flus. Flus wasn't great. He wasn't. That's funny because if this thing actually takes off, I wonder if people are going to forget about the rocky times when it came to Matt. It was like people calling for his job, right? But the turnaround right now is looking really good, and I want to stay cautiously optimistic.
Of course,
but there is so much to be excited about with this team and these performances over these last 3 preseason games, showcasing the depth, multiple players to be excited about, not just the stars. There are depth pieces making plays. And like I said, just a lot to look forward to. So I want to ask you this before we kind of get to we'll wrap it up here. I don't know if you have any questions, Vic.
I think we got like 1 or 2. But actually, before you get to that, let me do this since we're about near the end. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Really do appreciate it. And if you're new to the show, give a hashtag New Face Gang in the chat. We'll give you a shout out before the end of the show. If it's your first time, really appreciate it. Also like and subscribe. We also appreciate that as well. Helps the algorithm, helps us build the show. And then if you are an OG, which I know a bunch of you are in the chat right now, give a hashtag OG in the chat. We'll give you a shout out. So if this is your second time watching the show or this is your 80th time, anything in between, we do appreciate that. Also, if you would like to support Dave and I, Jack as well, and the rest of the crew, please check out the BFR store. We do have merch on there, thebfrstore.com. Shirts, hats, hoodies. Get it for yourself. Get it for your friends. You want to look fresh as hell for the season because we're about to be taking off. We love that. All the money goes back into the show, making it better for you. And then also you can join our Patreon, which is the BFR Den on Patreon, the BFR Den on there. We have 2 tiers. We have a rookie Grizzly, our Hall of Fame Grizzly tier on there. A bunch of great stuff in there. Our Madden League's going to be on there. We do private Zoom calls. We have our private Discord on there. We do our mailbag episodes, everything in between. And then also, if you just want to be a part of the community in there, you can join for free. So we do appreciate it. And I think the monthly tiers are like $3 and $5. So we're not robbing you blind or anything like that. But if you don't, that's totally okay. We appreciate any dollar that comes our way because we just take that back, pour it into the show because we're really trying to build a community specifically right now when this team looks like the stock is high. It's time to buy in. So we really do appreciate all the support and the love. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead, put them in the chat and we'll try to answer them before the end of the show. Boom. All right, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to shout out my guy, Joe from Obvious Shirts as well. He sent me a huge care package, which I went ahead and tweeted, but the shirt I'm wearing right here, it's just a custom. He's not selling it, but it's kind of a playoff Step Brothers, but you got Rome Odunze here and Caleb Williams, Claw Brothers.
That's funny.
I think it's just funny. Yeah. I think also our guy, Nick, has something
He
similar.
has one. He does. I think he's
Is that right?
Yeah.
Anyways, he sent me, shout out to Joe because he sent me a bunch of really cool shirts. I think there's a claw hat as well, or 2 of them, but I'll throw those on the show later. I'll probably be repping a couple of them. There's a real cool Air Caleb one too. But again, so we appreciate the support. I think we're real close to 7,000 subs. I talked about it last episode. So shout out to you guys for, continue to support the pod. We appreciate it. Let's get to questions. Actually, before we do that, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When it comes to next week, we have an early game Thursday. They play on Thursday against the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. Are the Bears, just real quick, you think they're playing any of the starters, or you think Caleb's done? Because that's a long break.
I think he's done because he played so long this half.
Yeah.
This half. He played so long in this game. He went a full half.
Yeah,
so if we do the play count, right? I think last week he had 20, right? And Flus said anywhere from 45 to 60. How many did he have this week? He had 9 for the first.
No, he had 20 the first week.
No, so I'm saying he had 20 last week, which means that there's only 25 to 40 more plays he can have. So if we count this week, which was 9 from the 3 and out, because it's just 3 times 3, I don't know how many he had on the last drive. You want to look that up?
It was an 8-play drive.
8 plays. So that means he has 17 this week. So that's 37. Well, actually, then maybe he does. Maybe it's like 1 drive because that's under 45. My gut says no, but
I say why not?
I agree. Throw him out there. But from the coach's mouth, he's technically hasn't hit that 45 minimum threshold yet. So maybe he does get like 1 drive no matter what. Like good or bad, you get your drive, we'll pull you.
I would like to see him play another quarter. That might sound insane just because of it almost feels like he did play a lot this week. However, with such a long break from the Chiefs game to week 1, that concerns me a little bit. So I'd like to probably get a little bit more game action if he can, or if they're comfortable with it. I think it would be a good test with Kansas City. Kansas City's playing their starters at least today, a full half. I don't know. I think if Kansas City plays their starters, why not?
I'm with you. I would love it. Absolutely. But
if I had to guess, I think they will. I think they'll play him. Maybe a drive though. It might be a drive or 2, and that's it. Even if they're 3 and out, I think they'll call it at that point. However, I could also see him going on a full quarter. This regime feels different, and they're also you can see that they could adjust on the fly.
Well, they're definitely going to do that, but I don't know if there's 3 and outs again. I don't like. Come on, guys, let's not do that. But I agree. It's probably I think realistically what they want is a quarter or less. And I think if the first drive they march down and score a touchdown, that's it. I think there would be 1 drive and end it.
God, that'd be sick. I would take that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
But I'm just thinking, I think it's good to get reps. You saw it today where they can go through these moments. They go through each drive is different and they present different challenges. You face adversity. You get different looks. You get the emotional roller coaster where big play to Rome, the run, and then you get the disappointment where you thought you had a touchdown. Then Caleb comes back, makes a play with his legs, and then it's a touchdown. Those you can't simulate that at camp. You can't simulate that in practice. So
it cannot.
Anyways, I would just and also selfishly,
hell yeah, give me a full game. If we're saying selfishly, just give me a full game. If you can promise no injuries. Also, we did not talk about this, and that's actually kind of crazy, and I'm surprised. There have been like 0. I think there's like 1 or 2, but minor injuries for the Bears.
Oh, you said it. Okay.
For the Bears this preseason.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. Yeah, I'm knocking. But I'm just like, that's like the biggest concern for all of these games, right? And so walking out is more of a positive. I'm not jinxing it, but walking out, it is good to see that healthy. And I think also for the Bengals too, because we don't like to see injuries on their side. I know they had some in the joint practice, but I think they walked away pretty clean as well. So good for both squads. Even though they did lose like a player out for the whole year in the joint practice.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
And it got a little rainy at the end too. So yeah, I'm glad for the health, but we still got You know how it is with the NFL. You never know.
You really don't.
Keep
and
these guys healthy though.
It could be non-contact too. All stupid stuff. You're like,
look at the Vikings with JJ McCarthy. Not that he was declared the starter, but he looked okay. He looked pretty good. In his first preseason action. So.
Yeah, that's tough. We can't have that. So if that's the case, one good drive for Caleb, pull up, but we're good. If one good drive, you look good, healthy. All right, get out of there, bro. Okay, so we'll go through.
I'll be good. I'll be honest. I would not be upset if they did not play him.
Oh,
I wouldn't be upset. I would get it, but again, I think they could benefit from a few more drives. So.
Oh yeah, of course. The experience.
Anyways.
The reps are always a good experience, so I agree.
Let's get to these final questions, and
let's. I'm gonna go through the OGs real quick. So we got Gage, Patreon member, Gage with the hashtag TrueOG. Shout out,
thank you, Gage.
Thank you. Then we got Vontae Knows with the hashtag OG. Love that. Is that Avi? Looks like GTA. That's awesome. Rudy
like
Paff the fourth. I know it does kind of. Rudy Paff the fourth with a hashtag OG. We appreciate that. Thank you guys for all of that. And then we have some questions here. So this is Scott C from Iowa on YouTube. Just going through the stats of all three players, right? Williams, 6 for 13, 75 yards. Bagent, 7 for 8, 87 yards. Rippin, 3 for 4, 53 yards. Are the Bears keeping all three on the roster?
No. Rippin will go
Practice
to practice squad. Well, actually, they have a third emergency QB, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting to see what they do with Reed. But no, I think they keep two. But of course, they'll have the emergency quarterback. So I think it's a good room, though. I think the odd man out is, of course, Reed, the undrafted rookie.
Yep.
And he could be practice squad.
Could be. They'll probably only keep one though. So, or not one. One will make the practice squad. So we'll see who that is. I know Rippin has more veteran presence. Obviously, he's 28, so maybe they just stick with a safer bet. But who knows? Vontae Knows says, could Velus Jones Jr. take Roshan's spot at RB3?
No, I don't think Jones is going to take anybody's spot because he's not really in a room. Like he's very versatile. He's everywhere. He'll be a running back, but that's doesn't mean you have to keep one less running back because he's going to be getting reps there. It may help you if it comes down. This 53-man roster is going to be difficult. It's going to be tough. It's going to be
some tough cuts.
One of the toughest cuts in the last few years, obviously, just because of the roster talent and the influx there. But I think that Roshan's fine. Velus is flexible. Fine. That's the cool thing with keeping him on the roster because he's just gonna help every room that he potentially can play. Right, receiver. You think he would help? As a returner, you saw him make a special teams play today as well. I like Velus, but Rojo is fine. Roshan's fine.
Rojo's not good. No, he was just drafted. He's not going anywhere. Okay, Vontae with our final question here said, do you think Terrell Smith could compete for the CB2 spot? I think he can compete for it. I think anything's open for competition. Will it be his? I don't think so. I think he's still behind Tyreek, but it doesn't mean that he can't overtake. I'd hope not because Tyreek's been playing well, so that means Tyreek wouldn't be playing well. But Terrell's right behind him, and honestly, he got a lot of CB2 snaps last year due to injuries, so he got in there. So,
yeah, I think this one is. It's not like pick your poison, but Tyreek's when he's on, he's locked down.
Yeah,
you could say he has an ability. Like sometimes I like his game, and I'm not even gonna say it, but
you are. Get ready to.
No, I'm not going to. I just think him and Jalen are up there when it comes to being able to like shut down.
Yeah,
be a shutdown corner. Tyreek has that ability, and I even think he's a little bit more of a ball hawk than JJ as well.
JJ's more like you're not going to throw. JJ shuts him down where it's like you're not even going to attempt to throw it because the guy's not open at all. That's how JJ's kind of been. And I feel like Tyreek is like, especially last year as a rookie, they're going to target a rookie. So when they did, he was able to make plays. But he is also, I think he's longer because a longer type of corner that pulls and Flus likes. Because that's kind of how they drafted, like long, lanky, big type of corners. While JJ, I mean, he's not small, but he's not as big as those guys. And he wasn't Poles' draft pick either. So just different type of players. But, I mean, he could take it.
It highlights the depth that we talk about consistently here on this show. It is
nice.
Awesome to have.
Absolutely. I am not mad about the depth that we have on this team at all. That is fantastic because unfortunately, it is the NFL. It is a brutal league. There are going to be injuries. You need the next man up to be able to step up and play. And not only play, if we're talking about like being a good team, play in really, really high pressure situations. Because you used to be good in football. Sometimes some of the star players are out or people have been starting all year and you'll see no names. People know them for the fan bases, but like from an outside perspective, some of us may not know, balling out and make big plays. And that's what you need to win games when it comes down the final stretch, because it's just a game of inches. So excited for that. I'm really excited for that.
That's right. Hey, week 1 is almost here. We'll be back to recap Hard Knocks episode 3. Hopefully if HBO or if Max has their stuff together, we will be live right after the episode premieres. And then, of course, we'll be back Thursday night to recap the Bears versus Chiefs game, which is the final preseason game. And then we will be heading into
crazy
the regular season. It is here, believe it or not. Now,
right around the corner.
So schedule-wise, a little housekeeping here. Tuesday night, we'll go live at 9 p.m. Central Time. And then Thursday, we'll go live about maybe fourth quarter, depending on the game for the preseason. We'll finish it up similar to what we did today. And then we will pregame or preview week 1 about a week after.
Yeah, we might pregame.
There's going to be a lull.
Right, getting excited for week 1. I might pregame a little bit.
Absolutely. Bears versus Titans, but it is crazy. Again, the support has been unreal. If you want to check out my work, again, I cover the Bears for Sports Mockery. Check out all my stuff over there on SM. And of course, check out Ficky on all his stuff and his socials at It's Ficky Baby and all his Bears content. And we are on the road to 7,000 subscribers. So if you can, and you're here, hit that subscribe button. About 50% of the people who watch this video are not subscribed. So if you can, you want to stick around for the season, that's going to be a really hopefully one of the best in recent memory for the Bears. We'd love for you to join us and be a part of that. So hit that like button as well. And we appreciate the support.
Peace.